Welcome to the Perform Podcast. I'm your host, Jayson Wyner, Nutrabolics co-founder. Our mission with the podcast is simple: to bring you the conversations with high performers from the worlds of fitness, health, business, and personal development, so that together we can all learn how to perform at the highest level.
Give us a backstory, because I know, you were call it famous, very young as a teenager, right?
Yeah.
What did that do for you, and what did it take away from you as being a teenager, becoming famous?
Well, I think I started competing when I was 13 years old. So, I won my first shows at 13. So pretty much, I wouldn't say it took away my childhood. It did a bit, because my mother wrote a letter, because I was in grade 9 at high school. So I started school early at 4. My mum wanted to get rid of me, I think, so she put me in school early. So by the time I got to high school, I was just 12, turning 13. Yes, I was sort of smart, but then I just hated school. I'd be always, like I was in the IFBB, I questioned shit. When they'll give me algebra, and I said, look, if I was to work on a checkout somewhere, the old checkouts, you had to type in the numbers of the prices and shit. I said, there's no A plus Z plus Y key on the fucking thing, so I got to learn this shit. I said, why are you teaching me shit that I'm never going to fucking use in life? If you want to teach me something, cooking class was good, home woodwork or metalwork was good and stuff like that. But teach people how to drive a car, fix a car, actually shit they're going to use in the real world. So I'd always questioned it. So at 14, my mother wrote a letter to the school saying I had a job. She wanted me to leave school, so I did. And the guy I started working with, he was in his 40s. And when I was 13, 14, I thought, fuck, 40, 45 or so is ancient. Now I'm 54. I'm like, that ain't fucking old at all. But when you're young, you think it's old. So, and he used to train. So I would go to work and then train with him. So all my friends were probably in their mid 30s and 40s up. I didn't have any friends my own age from the age of 14 on. So I could say, and I said, I never drank, I never smoked, I probably went to 3 nightclubs my whole life. All I did was focus on training and that. So you could say I missed out on childhood fun and that. That's why now I think I'm a big kid. Like, I used to know people that knew Michael Jackson personally. Actually, I had a photo of Michael Jackson. What his shit they'd say about him. But, when you don't have a childhood, later on in life, you do try and do things like shit. If I had his money, I'd build myself an amusement park as well and fucking have fun and shit, because I love amusement parks. When I go to Anaheim in 2 weeks, I'll be going to Disneyland. So if you want to see me on Monday, I'll be at Disneyland somewhere. Yeah, so, but like now I still love toys and shit. So I think it did take that away. But also when I went to America, it sort of took me away from my family, because waiting for a green card, I couldn't leave America, because even if you leave voluntarily, it's classed as a deportation if you're in the midst of the green card thing. So it took 7 years. So it took me away from a lot of family stuff. But I don't regret it. It's given me a good life and get to travel the world and stuff like that. But it did take away, I think, a lot of, like I said, I don't really have any school friends. I maybe have 1 or 2 from school that I know now, whereas some people still keep in touch with their schoolmates and that. I lost all of that. So, I never really had that side of childhood thing. I just sort of went from 13, 14 into adulthood pretty much straight away.
One of the things you're very well known for is speaking your mind. You've always spoken your mind. I really admire that. Obviously, I'm going to assume that maybe it's cost you some opportunities. Maybe. I don't know.
A lot.
But was staying authentic worth the price?
I'd say yes, because, even in my documentary that's on Amazon, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's on Amazon, called Rebel with a Cause. They asked Flex Lewis, Paul Dillette, Dennis James, so many different bodybuilders are on there. They're like, if Lee kept his mouth shut, would he have done better? They're like, of course he would have, but that's just not me. My mum, remember when I was young, because I always, like I said, my stepfather worked in the mine, so I was one of those, I think you see this military people say, the first thing in the morning, make your bed. As soon as you get up, make your bed. So for the age of 4, that's all I've been doing is make my bed. I used to cook my stepfather breakfast at 4:30 in the morning before he went to the mines and that sort of thing. So I've always had this regimented attitude and that, pretty strict. So I remember once I must have told my mum a lie about something, and she got the jug cord, the belt, whatever she could grab. She just belt me with it, and she goes, no matter what in life, you always tell the truth. I don't care, blah, 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 whatever. So that stuck with me. So I've always told the truth. And then I do interviews or podcasts or magazine interviews because, like I said, I'm an open book. I'll talk about, when I've tried to commit suicide, when I've done drugs. Like I said, I never tried drinking or smoking or drugs till over 42, but when I did some stupid things, and I talk about that. And then my mum would send me a message. Remember when I told you to be truthful? She goes, maybe you don't have to be that truthful. But I'm like, hey, it's like, I can't help it. I'm an open book. I'm always going to be myself. I'm not going to lie or act fake to fit into a group. I was just doing a video yesterday because people ask me about being an influencer and stuff. I said, look, I don't know. I said, if you do want to go down that route, I said, just be yourself. Do something that you enjoy. And hopefully if you have a passion for it and you record it on Instagram or YouTube, other people might share that passion and start following you. But I said, the main thing is just be your genuine self. Don't try and be fake to fit in or have people like you, because people will pick up on that pretty quick. It's like, especially if you act a certain way. And I know Derek gets it a bit being Mr. Olympia because they say he's changed, whereas, okay, when he was an amateur or just a pro, he might have been different. And then now you're Mr. Olympia. Sometimes people think, okay, being Mr. Olympia, I have to put on this new persona. I have to act a certain way. So if you change, people don't like that. But it's like, no, you don't, Derek. Just be yourself, Just be who you are, and the right people will follow you. It's like, if people don't like you for who you are, whether it's because you're authentic or because you're gay or whatever, it's like, you shouldn't, they're not the type of people to hang around. You should be able to be comfortable with yourself and just be true to yourself. And yes, I've lost lots of sponsorships. One I've mentioned before was Muscle Tech. I signed a 3-year deal with Muscle Tech. And they brought out these products and they put in the ads, Lee said, this is the best product ever, blah. I said, I didn't say that. They're like, we're paying you. But I said, I don't care if you're paying me. I did not say that. I said, I know what it's like when I was young, coming up buying supplements or having to borrow money, or even if you're married or got a partner and you got to get the money, like, what are you wasting money on that for? So if I'm going to put my name to something and say, this is the best, and you go buy it and you go, this is fucking shit, you're never going to believe a word I say again. So I said, you can't buy my integrity or whatever. So I had a 3-year contract, which was pretty good money. But after 8 months, I got out of the contract. I said, I'm not going to be a part of this. They wanted to take me to court. I said, take me to court. I say your product's shit still. So I got out of the contract. I remember Dexter Jackson, he's like, how'd you get out of that contract? I said, I just said their products were shit. He goes, oh, you're crazy, Lee, you're crazy. So people think I'm crazy or whatever. But like I said, I've always... like I said, even when I was making, at the height of my day, I was making about $18,000 a month in the late 90s, which was good money. And then when I did speak out and I went to the PDI and that, I was getting $6,000 a month from MD just to do that column. But the IFBB told Steve Weinberger, and, Greg Valentino will back up the story where he was having dinner with Greg. He's like, I don't know what to do. I really like Lee, but the IFBB's told me I have to get rid of him, otherwise I won't be able to interview other athletes and go to the contest. So he dumped me, and for a while I went from $18,000 a month down to $4,000, which that's a big drop. But to me, I never got into this for money. I've never been money orientated. If I have to get a normal job, that's fine. I don't care. I've done normal jobs before. But even on $4,000 a month, I still had a roof over my head. I still had food on the table. I still paid my bills and could go to the gym. So, yeah, it was a lot of money. But like I said, I've never been money orientated that way, where even all this work I'm getting this year now, my manager, Sid, he's a good mate of mine. He travels with me. I'm like, Sid, where are we going now? Mexico, Italy, UK, Germany. From Australia, it takes almost 2 days to get there. As I get older, I'm like, oh, I love it when I get there. It's just getting there. And his comeback was, but think of the money. I'm like, Sid, you're talking to Lee, not Jay Cutler. I don't. The thing is, if I'm not having a good time and I'm not enjoying it, I don't care what you pay me. I'm not going to fucking do it. To me, being stressed out and having all that shit, like, that's not worth any money in the world. To me, I'd rather have less money, be stress-free, and just have a good life rather than be traveling everywhere, being stressed out. Yeah, I've got the money, but the quality of life is just shit. So, yeah, I just wouldn't, never taken money. So if I put my name to something, I hate when people say, you're just saying that because they pay it. That's never been me. I've used products and done shit and advertised it because I just like it. It's like, I got this Iron Man arm over there. It opens up automatically, and that sort of shit. And there's a place called Hero Slash on Instagram. Have you ever seen those helmets where you say, Jarvis, open helmet, and the helmet, it's like the actual helmet. I brought one of the arms. I brought an arm and it didn't turn up, so I was arguing back and forth with the person, and they were sort of rude. Then out of the blue, I got a thing. Oh, hi, Lee, this is such and such, the manager of this company that makes all these movie memorabilia helmets that like lifelike. I fired those two guys. One of the guys here in the office knows who you are and that. So we want to make you like an ambassador for the thing. So they're sending me like over $5,000 worth of Iron Man helmets, Optimus Prime helmets, and they just want me to put it on Instagram and stuff like that. So that was just from me wanting the arm and putting the arm up, and then things happen. So yeah, I'm getting all this movie prop stuff that, like I said, from the actual movies, and I just go and endorse it for them. And like I said, I've always been that way. I've actually got contracts from people where I might just wear something or say this is great and these are really good. Then the person goes, oh, thanks for that, we really appreciate it. And then things just turn into somewhere down the line I get signed to something just from being authentic. Yeah, but trust me, if I say something's good, it works. Because I hate when I do something and people go, oh, these peptides don't work or these pro-hormones don't work. You're just saying that. I said, that's not me. I'm not going to just say that so you can spend your fucking money on shit. That's not me at all. So I've never been that way, never will be.
I wanted to ask you, going back in time, obviously you competed in a lot of Olympias, right? You've competed in a lot of shows.
Yeah.
When you look back, you look at the Olympia, do you think that maybe you didn't win because of your outspokenness, or is there a show when you look back on you think you should have won, and why?
I've never been that way, because back then, because we didn't have the 212, we just had the open. If you watch a lot of the videos, those Battle for the Olympias, when Mitsuru would film it, I'd be joking around as I'm training. I'm like, I'll be doing a chest press. I'm like, don't talk to me, because he'd ask me a question while I'm training. I said, I'm training for 8th place right now, so don't talk to me. Like, I was a realist. I knew I'd never win probably the Olympia or something, just due to politics or me being outspoken and just to being a shorter guy, not being, like I said, when I won the San Fran, I weighed 199. Cormier was second at 260, and so I've beaten bigger guys. Like Ronnie talks about how devastated he was when I beat him all those times. So it can be done, but for some reason, it's good to see now, like Hardy and Derek and those guys from 212 have actually won the Olympia. So it has changed a bit. But back then, like I said, if I got third, I said I got top 6 at the Olympia 3 times, and then top 10s and that. So it's like, to me, that's a win. Anytime on the European tour, there was 4 shows I got 3rd place in. I think it was like Kevin, Nassett and me, then Paul Dillette and whoever else. So to me, getting a 2nd or a 3rd was like a win. And I never thought I should have won a show. Sometimes I've done shows, and I think even my first Olympia, they reckon I should have been, I got 5th, but then they changed the score after the show, of course. But then people said I should have been 3rd at one Arnold Classic. The year I won, I think the San Fran, the Arnold that year, like even the commentators on ESPN are like, when they announced me in 4th place, like the crowd just was booing. They're like, and they're like, we had Lee 1st or 2nd. So I think some of those bigger shows I might have got a bit of a slap on the wrist. So, but like I said, I was happy just to compete. I was competing for the fans anyway. So placings to me didn't really mean shit at all. Like I said, I have these awards from police and that for helping police bring stuff to there. I got a letter from the Queen over there, and these are just different awards. And George Bush made me a honorary, Texan and that up there on the wall. So I have stuff like that. Every bodybuilding trophy, I think I mentioned it, I auctioned them off on Instagram and gave all the money to animal charities. Only one Olympia medal and Arnold Classic medal I put around my grandfather's neck in his coffin before they buried him, but every other medal trophy I just sort of got rid of and gave all the money to animal charities, because it's like, I don't need trophies to remind myself of what I've done. Some people, when they're on podcasts, will have all the trophies behind them. Look at me. I'm like, oh, fuck off. It's like, that's why even the other day I was at the gym and this young kid come up. He's just staring at me like, and he's trembling. He's like, oh, I can't believe it's you. And then I'm like, mate, I said, I'm just Lee. I'm like, I still don't get that, because to me, when they come up and go, oh my God, you're Lee Priest, I'm like, mate, I'm just Lee. I'm just a fucking idiot. I was a guy that was good at lifting weights. Like I said, you might be a good plumber. You're a great plumber. I was a good bodybuilder. I'm no better than you. So I still don't get that whole you're Lee Priest. I do get embarrassed, but I was saying on a thing, I just did a podcast, I just did a video of myself saying the only good thing that come out of that is when I do tell my silly stories about my upbringing, suicide attempts and everything, stupid things I did on drugs and marriages and stuff, I do get a lot of messages. Like, I always try and reply to people. If they just say hi, I'll do that. But if someone takes the time to write something, and there's been a lot of people that have wrote me in dark places and I write back to them, and then I might not hear from them until a year or two, and they're like, hi Lee, you might not remember me. I wrote to you and you were kind enough to write back and we talked a bit, and since then I got on with my life. I've got a job, a family, and that. So if being lead priest has helped people like that, that's probably the best thing from it. But me being lead priest or bodybuilder, I couldn't give a shit about. So, but if being lead priest has helped people in shit situations or inspired them, then that's a win from it all, I guess.
I wanted to ask you, you know, going back, you've done a lot of contests. Was there ever a contest where you got there and something just went crazy wrong? You know, something, but you still had to go on stage. Maybe you pulled a muscle, maybe you forgot something, but something went down. Give us some insight on this.
Touch wood, no, not with me, but there's been things with contests where the promoters have done shit. I remember one example was the Florida Pro Show, and we're just sitting backstage, and because you're just waiting around for your time, and they're like, guys, just relax. You got an hour or so. So we're just sitting down, and all of a sudden they come running back, guys. You got 5 minutes, get on stage. We're like, you just told us we had an hour. No, you just got to go on stage. They're just going to announce you hit a few poses, and then you come off. So we're like, okay, we get undressed, we start putting oil on, pumping up, and the guy's like, you haven't got time to put oil on and pump up. And now I'm getting annoyed. I'm like, well, fuck me. I said, we're not going out on stage just fucking not pumped and no oil and look like shit. People take photos. I said, we've trained hard to look our best. We haven't got time. I said, you know what? I said, go ahead and fucking start the show without us then. And then he goes and tells people he's being difficult back. I said, how am I being fucking difficult? If we're the stars of the show, at least give us time to get on stage and that. And then it was the same show where they had no water backstage. And I said, oh, you don't have water? Oh, what are you complaining about water for now? I said, look, I understand in the real world, in the big scheme of things, water isn't fucking, got no water, big deal. But when you're depleted, you're dieted down, you're dehydrated, a bottle of water backstage is a big thing. So to not even have water for the guys was, like I said, if I say something, oh, Lou's just causing trouble. I'm like, oh, shut up. But it's not many things like that. I've had nothing personally go wrong. I've had dreams though, where you have a dream that you get to the show and you haven't got your tan on, or you forgot your oil or your posing trunk. So I have had many dreams like that, but touch wood, nothing's ever happened. Or you might get, like I said, pumping up, you might get a cramp, or sometimes when you're out on stage posing, you get a cramp, you're like, oh shit, and you're trying to get rid of the cramp but still look happy at the same time, because when those cramps hit, it's hard to stay composed when you got a muscle locking up and you're trying to look like you're posing, having fun.
You never had to throw hands, possibly, with one of the competitors? Never got in a big argument or anything?
That was Craig and King Kamali back in the day. But me, I did get told that I should take it more serious, because even Kevin said, Lee, why aren't you taking this serious? Because to me, if you've done your dieting 100%, you've done your training 100%, if you're in the best shape you can be in backstage, I'm just like, hey, I'm a fucking idiot. I joke around, I tell jokes, I'm relaxed. Whereas other people are like, oh, they're so serious. I'm like, guys, it's okay to smile. You're not going to smooth out if you just have a fucking laugh. I said, if you're in shape, you're in shape. Once we get on stage, it's not up to us. It's up to the judges and what they see and who they want to win. So lighten up. No, Lee, you got to be more serious. I'm like, oh, fuck off. It's like, calm down.
When people tell your story years from now, what do you hope that they get right?
Mainly that, I just tried to stand up. Like I said, when I used to stand up for the bodybuilders, I'd stand up for the guys who weren't making money. So pretty much as I was authentic, I get called racist a lot because I make off-color jokes. But, to me, I grew up where I had friends of all races, and we used to just put shit on each other over stereotypes, because that's what you did. You just put shit on each other. We call it here taking the mickey out of each other. And you go back and forth, just talking shit, telling jokes. But now you do that, it's like, oh God, you're Islamophobic, you're homophobic. It's like every fucking phobia, or you're just racist in general. It's like, come on, people, relax. So I don't know, I just hope they say I was a genuine person and tried to do good type thing, but I guess that's up to them. I know if people are sometimes, I do have a book out called Be Yourself. It's on Amazon. You can buy my book. It's been out for a while, and some people like to read that sort of thing, but it has a bit more insight. But generally, if you watch any of my in-depth podcasts or interviews, like I said, I'm an open book. So, at least I can always say I was true to myself. Like I said, not everyone's going to like you no matter what you do. Shit, if you want to say I'm not really a religious person, I'm spiritual, but, people say, look at Jesus, even as what he did. People still, they crucified him. So you're never going to have everybody like you, or try and, like I said, people see things your way. So that's why I just say be yourself, and I guess let chips fall where they may.
what when you look back, is there something that you maybe should have taken or thought that maybe you should have taken more seriously with your health, with your training, with anything related to bodybuilding?
Not health-wise, because even back then I always got checkups and that, and touch wood, I just had my heart checked again by a good cardiologist when I was in Rome. He's a good friend of mine. So touch wood, that's all good and stuff. So I've always taken care of it. I never abused steroids. I always said I used them. I never abused them. But then, like I said, even the small amounts I took, who's to say 400 milligrams isn't bad for your health? But to me, 400 is better than 1,000 in my mind anyway. So, but who knows, even 400 could have taken years off my life down the track, but hopefully it hasn't. But yeah, but I'd probably say the only thing serious I probably could have done was like off season, because off season I just ate whatever. I didn't care. I was a normal person. If I wasn't at the gym, I was at the racetrack. So like I said, maybe in the off season, if I had maybe been more regimented when it come to eating and stuff like that, maybe I could have been a bit better. But who's to say? But I was happy with, like I said, if I had done that, then I mightn't have enjoyed it as much, because like I said, I like to do the bodybuilding, but when I wasn't doing bodybuilding, I just like to live a normal life, whereas some guys are just 24/7 bodybuilding, and you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to burn, like I said, people around you. If people, that's all you talk, training, bodybuilding, drugs, they're going to be like, oh my God, this fucking idiot again, always going to talk about training. So I never did. I just like to have a normal life when I was outside the gym. So my off seasons, I probably could have been a bit more, serious with, but, I don't think it would have made a huge difference really.
Uncensored, what do you think about coaches?
About what?
Coaches. Different. There's so many coaches out there these days. I'm seeing these guys, I don't know, some of them have done anything. They just show up, they look half decent, but they're telling other people what to do. What are your thoughts on coaches these days?
See, I never really liked coaches. Like for the average person, sure. Like if you're an average mum or pop going to the gym, coach or a personal trainer, yes, you need someone to maybe show you the exercises, how to do it. But even then, if I'm a personal trainer and you're coming to me after 3 or 4 months, you should know how to do the majority of the exercises, And then when it comes to an eating plan, okay, I could give you an eating plan, and then you should learn what's good. Maybe you could come back for a revision. But I think some of these coaches now are getting more credit than they deserve, because you look at some of the guys they have, back in the day it was Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler or someone. They're training people that have the top 1% genetics in the world. My grandmother would help my mother when she competed with her diet and training. So my grandmother knows diets and training. My grandmother could have got fucking Ronnie Coleman ready for the fucking Mr. Olympia, because he's Ronnie Coleman. He's got the genetics, he's got the work ethic. You give him some little bit of gear and diet food, he's going to fucking respond. When Paul Dillette lived with me, he was working with Chad Nichols. And I said to Paul, why do you have someone? You know your body better than anyone else. And one day I was at the fridge. I'm like, should I have chicken or steak or fish? Paul's like, that's why. Look at the fridge. I said, what? He goes, what's lunchtime say? I said, steak. And they go, see, Chad tells me what to have. I'm lazy. I don't want to think about it. So a lot of guys just have it, because really all you need, to me, if you have a good training partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, whatever, or good support team, that's all you need. Because when you get ready for a show, it's more mental. You get to the stage where my cat wants to come in. You get to that point where you think, oh, maybe if I do this, I'll be better. When you start questioning shit, that's when you go wrong. So as long as you've got someone around you to keep your head screwed on right, keep your training hard, that's all you need. Hani Rembod used to come to my house and train with me before he was Hani Rembod, the coach. And then when I see him giving people programs, and I'm like, that looks very similar to my training and my style of cardio, 2 hours or so. So there's people, like I said, if say you come to me and said, Lee, I want you to get me ready. I don't know your body. To me, if you come to me and you got muscle and shit, well, I'm like, fuck, you know how to train. Training's basic, lifting weights, doing a dumbbell press, a barbell curl. How am I going to tell you? I'll show you how to do a different barbell curl. Barbell curl's a barbell curl. All I can really do would be give you a diet and stuff, and maybe some drug program. But even with drug programs, I only know what works for me. I don't know what drugs are going to respond to you. So if I write you a diet and a drug program and say, okay, go away now for a week or two, come back, how you feeling, how you looking, okay, let's take this out, put this in, you could do that yourself, It's like, it's not rocket science. So I don't get why, I've mentioned it before, Ian Valier, there's a lot of pros out there who train people. Ian trained Chris Bumstead. Chris, his brother-in-law, won 3 Olympias. Chris got him ready. So I'm like, Ian got him ready. So I'm like, Ian, And why can't you get yourself ready? If you got Chris Bumstead ready and he won 3 Olympias, it's the same shit. If you can get him ready, give him a diet, put him on a drug program, why can't you do it for yourself? It's the same thing, because I see all these people, they'll have a whole list of clients they get ready for contests, but when they get ready, they go to somebody else. So to me, if you were training me for a show and I got ready for a show, but then you get ready, you go to somebody else like Dave, I'm going to be like, then why are you going to Dave? You must trust Dave more than yourself. So rather than me go to you, I'm going to go to Dave because he must be better than you. So it's like, to me, if you can get people ready for a show and stuff, why can't you get yourself ready? It's the same thing. It's like, you know, you can still bounce ideas off people and get different ideas and stuff, but some of these coaches now are becoming more famous, and you look at them, you're like, what have you done? You've read a book on nutrition, you've maybe read a steroid handbook, because like I said, once they get somebody, they're just experimenting with them till they get the formula right. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. That's why these people go from coach to coach thinking, maybe this coach knows. They don't know any more than you do, man. So I have more faith in these athletes than they do themselves. They don't need fucking coaches. You just need that good support team around you. That's all you need.
If you were to get a meeting with Donald Trump, what would you ask him? What would be one question you'd ask him?
How do you do it? Because like I said, I like him. And I said, you know, like him or hate him, he has done good for the economy. This Trump derangement syndrome is real when you see people go off. But I'd really like to know, how does he do it? Because really, there's a guy that doesn't need the job. People say, oh, he won it because of his ego. But, you know, people still voted him in. So, you know, he doesn't need the job. He's almost been assassinated, 2 or 3 times and stuff. So he's not doing it for the money. So he's someone that actually does love America. And it's so weird because you look back at old interviews when he was on Oprah, The View, all these people said, you should run for president. He's like, no, I don't know. And that as soon as he does, those same people, turn against him, white supremacists. Like, all this shit is racist. You can't tell me, like even the Epstein files, the Biden administration had them for how long? If Trump was implicated in there, that would have been out. Look how Hillary and them made up all the whole Russian collusion bullshit. If he was in there, or they're like, he's racist. Like, we had a recording of Trump saying, grab her on the pussy or something. You know, he said as in a joke, locker room talk. You can't mean to tell me if he said a racist word or the N word, it would be plastered everywhere. Come on, and look at all these people, even Reverend Sharpton and, you know, the late Jesse Jackson and them. They were all personal friends. He helped them all out. As soon as he became president, they hated him. So so the whole racism thing just gets thrown around now. But yeah, I'd like to have a good, I'd probably ask him general shit. It's like when I wrote to the Queen, because sometimes you get letters back from the lady in waiting, but that one there, the Queen actually signed it. Because I'm going to write to the Queen. She's like, what for? I said, well, my grandmother used to love the Queen and Lady Di, so I'm just going to write to her going, hi, how are you? Just wondering, you know, what's your normal day like? Just stupid shit. And then I never thought nothing about it. Then I got this letter. I'm like, fuck, I kept it somewhere. The letter's framed, but the envelope and shit had come in. It's almost like silk. The paper was that fucking nice. I'm like, I'm keeping this. It was like from Buckingham Palace. So I just wrote, so I'd probably like to know just general stuff like that, you know. What's he really think, you know? Because, too, you know, he's a good at trolling. You know, when he wakes up at 2 a.m. and he puts a tweet out, you know he's just doing it to fuck with them and they all jump on board. You know, Trump will say something. But and then sure, his language might be a bit off sometimes where he'll say, we'll bomb the shit out of him, or, you know, Biden's a dickhead. It's like, yes, he's president. He has to act a certain way, but he's still a normal guy. And I think that resonates with people when, okay, you might be someone in power like the president, but yet they can see you're still one of them. You're not, you know, he's not a career politician, whereas you look at some of these people, the Pelosi's and all these fucking idiots, they're career politicians from day one. That's all they've done, whereas Trump was not a career politician. He was just a businessman, good or bad. Yes, he's been bankrupt and blah, 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 but still, you know, I just give him credit for what he's done. He's stuck to his word and he said what he was going to do. Yeah, then people say, well, he hasn't done this. Yeah, well, you know, I've had friends in the FBI and that, and there's things above the president that, you know, Trump probably thought, when I get in, I'm going to do this. And, you know, once you get in as president and you find there are people still above you where they might be like, you might think you're going to do that, but you're not. So I think he learned too that a lot of stuff he wanted to do, there's people above him pulling the strings where he can't even go above them. So, we always know that the presidents of different countries are still, I wouldn't say puppets, but they're figureheads, but they can't do exactly what they want to do because there's people more powerful than them pulling all the strings around the world, sadly.
Give us a rough idea, just a rough idea about what your current program looks like. Are you training 5 days a week? How many meals are you eating right now? Just kind of like give us some insight.
I still go to the gym once or twice a day. Like in the morning, I'll still get up and go to the gym early. Like I was up at 5 today, which was a bit of a sleep in. Went to the gym for an hour and a half. So, and then the afternoon, I might go back and do a smaller body group or just 40 minutes of cardio. And at the moment, I have increased my meals. I'm trying to get at least 4 or 5 a day. Not huge meals, but at least 4 or 5 meals in a day. And like I said, still training once or twice a day. And it's been, I was thinking I was going to actually take today off because I'm like, the podcast with you is at 8. If I get to the gym early, I can go after. No, after the podcast, I won't feel like going. So I was going to take the day off. So I was training 6 days this week. Tomorrow I'll probably go. I'm one of those guys where if I feel like going, I'll go because I just feel good. It just makes me feel good. Even sometimes if I'm not going crazy, because I don't go crazy on weights anymore. I do more like a circuit style thing where I might start doing dumbbell presses for chest, and after 4 sets, I'm like, I'm bored. I'll go do some seated rows 4 sets, and then it's almost like a circuit thing where I just get a nice pump. I feel good, do a little bit of cardio. So, like I said, if I want a day off, I'll take it when I really feel like it. If I just feel like, but even then, if I take the day off completely, I sometimes feel shit. So I might just go and do cardio. And that was just a mental thing. I went to the gym, so mentally I feel better, or I might go walk around the beach or something. But I'm always doing something or play with the dogs here. But normally 5 days a week, 6 days a week, I generally train religiously in that. And then, like I said, I'm trying to eat better because sometimes if I'm doing stuff, if I'm out in the yard or just doing shit, I won't stop until I'm finished. So 5-6 hours could go past and I won't eat because I just want to finish what I'm doing. So I try and be more conscious of actually trying to get the meals in, even if I just stop and have a bit of yogurt and a banana, just something small, and then go back to what I'm doing. So it's not actually 4 meals each time. It might just be like snack type meals.
Dorian Yates recently has really been vocal about the Mike Mentzer training philosophy, And so I read Mike's book and I thought to myself, I went out and tried it. And for me, it wasn't for me, but I tried it. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Have you tried anything to do with this type of training with Mike Mentzer?
Well, I just shared that thing Jay put up when I was on his podcast where I say I don't do any less than 20 sets. Oh my God, you're an idiot. Mentzer only says this, and Dorian. I said I trained with Dorian. He did at least 4 sets on each back exercise when I trained with him when I was young. So people think it's like you do one warm up. Say you're squatting 7 plates, you do one warm up set on 1 plate, then go straight to 7. They still build up in like weight, and then they do their one all out. Whereas if I was doing 180-pound dumbbells, I might do 3 sets of 180. Whereas they just do the 1 set of 180 and just go to complete failure. But then, and I said this because I used to talk to Mike a bit, towards the end he was going a bit nutty, but one day I said, do you think it really works? He goes, look, Lee, once you get that certain amount of size and that, yes, it will help keep it. But he goes, sometimes I just get sick of people. He goes, there's a couple of personal trainers in the gym. One guy used to train someone. He took him an hour and a half. Mike's like, see him? He goes, I can get 2 or 3 clients through for more money, and he's just got 1 through. So whether it's just to make money, get people through quicker. But to me, when I say I did 20 sets and people come down to me, I'm like, why? I said, 20 sets works for me. Like you said, it didn't work for you. Hey, if 45 minutes Mentzer style works for you, do it. That's the thing about bodybuilding. Nothing is set in stone. We're all different. To me, as long as you're not cheating and, throwing weights around, if it works for you, it works for you. That's great. You get these people saying, that's wrong, you're doing it wrong. Well, if we go by textbook, it might be, but some people move in different ways. Their bodies, the way that you're built's different, your leverage points are different. So to be textbook perfect is stupid. But for these people to say high volume's wrong, you got to do it this way, that's just dumb because we're all different. Some people love the 6 to 8 reps, heavyweight. Some people respond on a medium weight, 15 to 20 reps. So like I said, if it works for you, then it's not wrong. Just do what works for you. And you might have to experiment with high volume. You might have to experiment with the Dorian Yates style. But once you find what works for you, great. Yeah, but don't put down other types of training just because you don't like it or don't agree with it. Because if it's working, then hey, it's working. So to say this is better than that, it's just bullshit. There's so many ways to. I hate to say skin a cat because I love animals, but there's so many ways to do things that, like I said, as long as you're doing it with good form, there's no wrong way.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about, before bed when it comes to eating? Like one of the things that I
Yeah,
find, and just speaking for myself, is like if I
yeah,
eat a meal is much different than if I have a protein shake, right? Like,
yeah,
so one of the things
yeah,
I'm kind of been playing with recently is just having like, say, 2 scoops of protein with some peanut butter before
yeah,
bed, like even like right
yeah,
before bed, like
yeah,
literally, like if 10 o'clock comes, I'm going to bed at 10:05. I eat
yeah.
that. What are your thoughts about that?
I used to do that even when I was dieting before a show. I'd have a small bowl of oatmeal and a protein drink before bed because I was doing lots of cardio as well. But I just preferred to. I hate to go into bed hungry. Or
Mm,
sometimes, if you're not dieting, night time's the worst for me. Even last night, I remember I was up, I
mm,
was eating kettle corn, sweet and salty
mm,
popcorn. And then I
mm.
had that. Now I'm like, I know there's some potato chips in the cupboard, but I shouldn't have them because once I start on potato chips, it's like I'll just have one, then the
Oh,
salt, and then
yeah.
I had like a sugar-free pop in an ice block in the freezer. I'll have that now. So nighttime's the worst. So
Mm,
if you are dieting stuff, I used to just drink like Crystal Light and water, but I prefer to have something at night as long as it's not because I've made the mistake, off season or you eat too much at night. You go to bed too full, then you ever get that gastric reflux where you're like, and the
mm,
fucking vomit's coming up your throat. So I
mm,
wouldn't I wouldn't go to the point where, like I said, you eat where you just like busted and then go to bed because that's not good. There's actually,
mm,
sadly, some people have actually passed away doing that because they might take sleeping pills and stuff and they get that gastric reflux. And because they're so zonked out, they don't wake up and choke to death on their vomit. So I've almost choked, actually almost choked once because I did the but then I breathed back and I think a bit of it went down my breathing tube. So
mm.
for like 4 minutes, I'm standing there like, because the piece of the food was lodged. I'm trying to move it by breathing. So I'm just taking these short little breaths like, I'm like, fucking, hang in there, Lee. The room's
Oh.
getting dark. I'm still getting there. And then it must have moved. So I went, oh, thank God. I'm thinking, fuck, that would have been a way to go. Lee Priest choking on fucking vomit. That would have been like typical fat cunt.
Before we wrap up today, I wanted to ask you, is there anything
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about at all?
Yeah, not really. Like I said, I just wish, like I said, when it comes to things like Trump or anything, that us people would just learn to get on a lot better because, it's the old, you just watch the world now. We're fighting over dumb shit, whether it's religion and race or, you'd think, to me, you'd think America's back in the fucking Civil War days with slaves because all they talk about is racism, but yet, I travel the world and that, and I'd say 98% of people aren't racist. And sure, you're going to have wankers and racism people and just dickheads in all races of people. But to me, if you really speak to people, I'd say 98% of people just want to go to work, make money, take care of their family, take care of their friends. If you had a neighbor next door that needed a hand, black, white, Asian, you go fucking help them. You don't care type thing. But the media's got us all at fucking each other's throats so bad that it's just sad to see. Like I said, we're fighting over dumb shit when we have more in common than we do differences around the world. So I just wish people would come together and just stop all the bickering and fighting over dumb shit. Like years ago, you could vote for Democrat, Republican, and still go for fucking lunch with your family. Now it's like, they're not coming to Christmas dinner because they voted for Trump. I'm like, you're going to turn family members away because of who they voted for? Because, sadly, you're going to lose friends and family. And when they're gone, you can't get it back. And to not speak or just fight over stupid shit, because I always say at some seminars, I'm guilty of it. Because if I'm bored, I like trolling people because people troll me. So I'll be like, yeah. So I just go back and play with them. And sometimes I'll do that for a day or two. And I'm thinking, people that matter to me, friends or my mother, I'm thinking, fuck, Lee, you haven't texted your mum or spoke to your mum in 3 days, but here I am arguing with people I don't even know. So I
Mm,
always tell people, if you got friends and family and people you care about, send them a message first every day, even if it's just an emoji. It might seem stupid, but just let them know you're thinking of them because, like I said, when they're gone, you'll be wishing you had sent them a message because we spend so much time, like I said, either talking to people or arguing with people we don't even know, and we seem to ignore the ones who mean the most to us. So just
mm.
take care of the people around you.
Let me ask you this before we wrap up. Two more questions.
Yeah.
If you were to read one book which book would it be? Just one book. If you were to recommend it, what would it be?
I do say I did read halfway through it. I'd always read it when I was traveling. Was that Art of War, and I found that interesting. But then I don't know the names of them, but I always get my mother to buy me like, I wouldn't say positive quote books, but they're sort of books that have like positive stories in them, just like sort of positive stories where someone's done something. They're not long stories, but they're just stuff like that. I always like stuff that's sort of inspirational or just positive quote type things, because I said the world's so crazy and we see so much negativity online and everywhere. It's just like bombarded us 24/7. It's nice to see stories of I did read that on a plane not long ago, that Finding Gobi. Is it Finding Gobi? It's about a guy who was he's one of those ultra marathon runners, and he went across the desert somewhere and this dog just appeared. So the dog followed him the whole way, and then it's the story of how he adopted the dog and what he had to go through to get the dog back to America and stuff. And now I think it's Gobi, Gobi. If you find it, you'll find that it's like, see about him. Yeah, it's all about the dog, and now the dog's got its own Instagram page and stuff. So I like stories like that where things just happen. And I know there's another story too where somebody was somewhere and this dog come out of nowhere, and based on a true story. That was a book and they made a movie about it, that Hitachi movie. I know it's based in China or Japan, where this guy adopted this dog, found this dog, and every day it would follow him to the train station, and one day he had a heart attack at work, never come back. But for 10 or 12 years, this dog just sat at the train station waiting for him every day. The town would feed and that, and the dog just passed away there. And it just shows you like loyalty and that. And they've actually got a bronze statue of the dog at the train station in Japan. But the movie's called Hitachi with Richard Gere in it. Same story, but it's American. They just made an American version of it. So I like stories like that, even though they make me cry and stuff like that. But I just like stories that inspirational or just have a good positive feel. Sure, I like action movies and dumb movies as well. But if I had a choice of reading and stuff, it's like I want to get I'm trying to find it now. You know, Sam Neill, the Australian actor who just passed away. I think he's got a book out, and I think it's don't quote me on the name, but I think it's something like "Have I Told You" or something. Or because when he had cancer a couple of years, like he just beat cancer, then sadly he passed away. But when he had cancer, he just decided to write a book to his friends and family about stuff that, did he tell him this or tell him that sort of thing. So it's I think it's called "Have I Told You" or something. But I want to get that book and read it type thing. So yeah, I like things like that.
Outside of Trump, if you were to nominate someone as the next president of the United States, who would it be?
I don't know. It'd probably be someone we've never heard of. To me, I'd like to see governments made up of real people. Yes, Trump's not a politician, but to me, I would like somebody who, even like maybe someone like, like a Patrick Bet-David type person, where they've lived in the real world. He's come from a country, he's come from Iran. He couldn't be president, but someone like that who's come up with a real life family. Maybe their father was a truck driver. They've had a job, lost the job, and got a business going for themselves. So they know what it's like to live in the real world. They know what it's like to struggle with bills, to raise a family, to try and own a home. I'd have somebody like that who can relate to the people, because half these people who are politicians, they can't relate to the real people anymore. They say, oh yeah, it's like they haven't got a clue what the real person goes through. So I'd like to have somebody like that who's actually a real person, who's come from nothing, made themselves something, and now would go into office. Because to me, I've always said, a government, yes, you can have these career politicians on one, because here we have Labor and Liberal and stuff. To me, I'd like to have, okay, the career politicians here could have 200 members, but the other 200 members on this side is real people, truck drivers, coal miners, school teachers, doctors. So that way you can have the politicians and you have the real people, and then they can discuss things and work shit out, because these people, career politicians, like I said, they're just so out of touch. They don't know what it costs to pay electricity bills, and the cost of living goes up, petrol prices go up. They're so out of touch with that shit. That's why you need real people in governments who know what it's like with their fucking boots on the ground type thing. So it wouldn't be a politician. It'd be someone, like I said, that's had hard life, maybe come from a single mother family, started off bad, even maybe did time in jail, learned his lesson, got out, made something of himself, made a good business, and now, he wants to get in and help other people. So that would be my type of person.
what about yourself? Could you see yourself getting into politics?
I'd love to. I'd love to get into it. I always say, even around here in where I live in Newcastle area, or get into the thing. But to me, I could just imagine, Lee did, imagine all the people digging in my past. He said he did cocaine. I'm like, yeah, I did cocaine. So what? I'm a real person. I got drunk once and did something stupid here. Like I said, I've never done anything or hurt anybody. I've always just done stupid stuff to myself because I always just did drugs and drinking at home. I never did it in public. But, he used steroids. He said this. It's like, go ahead. I'm an open book. Dig up all the dirt you want. But to me, that if someone did that to someone, I'd be like, well, that just shows they're a real person. To me, I'd vote for them even more because they're a real person. They're not fake. They're genuine. You know what you're getting. He's not going to bullshit. And like I said, I'd be there for the people. Sure. I would never say, look, I'm going to do this because, like I said, if you say you're going to do something, then you get in and you get the other dickheads. That's what I hate about two different parties too. This party wants to do good. This party will do everything to stop it. They just spend millions of dollars fighting. Then when this party gets in, we're going to do something good. Now this one will stop them, and nothing ever gets done. So it just pisses me off. Nothing ever gets done. They waste millions of dollars fucking fighting over shit. So I'd say that I'm going to do stuff, and I'd try to get in and do my best. So I think we're getting to a point now where people are looking for that in their government. That's why Trump did well. Here in Australia, we have a lady called Pauline Hanson. For 30 years, she said the same shit. They label her racist, and now she's becoming more popular. They're just going after her with everything. Like every little thing, they're just trying to rubbish it. But I think people are smartening up. They're seeing this bullshit now. So her party's starting to get to the lead, and the Labor Party and that don't like it. So they're trying to pull every stop just to discredit her, which is sad because, like I said, the Australian people, they can see what they're doing. So I think, the wool's being pulled back from people's eyes and they can see the same old tactics now. So I don't think it's going to work much any longer. So like even the whole cancel culture, I think slowly on a decline type thing. So I'm hoping people are starting to smarten up and use their own brains rather than just, they told me this, they told me that, it must be true. Do your own research before you just believe. And that goes for anything, Fox News, CNN, because some people just listen to one or the other. Just fucking watch everything and then do your own deep dive and find out for yourself. Don't just take their word for granted because they're just trying to push an agenda half the time.
Well, I mean, if it makes any difference, I'd vote Lee Priest. I think you should. I think you're pretty passionate about it. You might want to explore it. If you take one thing from this, I think you might want to explore. When I listen to you, I think I can feel that desire.
People have always said it, like I said, and being here in Australia, I'm not even sure how to get into it. Look, if somebody out there said, Lee, look, just in your local area, if you want to be the minister for Newcastle or work up to Lord Mayor or something, it'll be different than me as Lord Mayor, tattoo on the face and shit. But look, I said, at least I'd be there for the people, try my best for the people. I wouldn't be going by corporate shit. Yes, I'm sure somebody will be like, Lee, you can't do that because of this. They give us money. Well, fuck their money. Just the same as them with sponsors. I don't give a shit. They can pay us money, but if it's not benefiting the people who voted me in, I'm not going to fucking do it just to take their money. So fuck them. So I don't think I'd be well liked, but if anyone in the area around me knew how to do it or how to get a petition started or how many signatures you need and shit like that, yes, I would, like I said, look into it. Like I said, dig up all the dirt you want on me, people. I've already put it out there, so go your hardest.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this for you to think about. You got a letter from the Queen that you just showed me. You just showed it to me because you wrote her. So that's the Queen writing you back. Why can't you just write the mayor and say, hey, it's Lee Priest. What's up? Let's get together type of thing, Give it that special sprinkle that you gave the Queen. I know
the mayor of New York now. He used to be a newsreader, Gavin Morris, and he was the weatherman, and people sort of liked him just because he was well known doing the weather and stuff. So he seems like a pretty good guy. He's always local in Newcastle. He does hang gliding over the beaches and that. So I'm sure if I wrote him and that, he'd probably be up to maybe having a chat or something, because he might say, these days he's got a good following. Maybe he can help me somehow with the crazy fans that he has type thing. But it's funny because before I wrote to the Queen, I thought, I wonder if she writes back, and they said, yes, she does, but she gets so many. A couple she will, maybe 100 she'll actually sign, and the others, the lady in waiting, do it. So I was one of the lucky ones where she put a signature on it. So, and like I said, and George Bush up there, the state of Texas, made me honorary Texan. And actually, before you go, I'll quickly show you this. Like I said, I just like helping and doing things. I got this here. in a nice box.
Mm.
I got this here. I'll quickly read it. It was like this here. And it just said, Senate of the State of Texas, extending sincere appreciation to Lee Priest. This flag was flown at the Texas Capitol October 6, 2023, in appreciation of your willingness to use your celebrity status and notoriety to events and issues that are important to the great state of Texas. So they sent me that. And then they sent me the flag that was flying over the Capitol building that day. So I got to get all that put in a frame and stuff. So, see, those things mean more to me than bodybuilding trophies and stuff. And then my friend that did a few tours of Iraq give me that. He was digging ditches out the front, being shot at by snipers. I get a lot of military people send me stuff, so that sort of means more, because I support the military, I support police, and when I put that up, I can't believe you support the police. Fuck them. It's like, oh, shut up. It's like, I just can't stand people that like to say.
Well, I'm telling you, Lee, you wouldn't be a great influencer for the people of Australia, so you might want to think about it. You never know.
I hope so, but yeah, it'd be nice, because I always make jokes, like, 'cause people, I'm at seminars when I do my things, even in England. Hey, Lee, these young kids come up, I watch all your stuff on YouTube. I'm like, well, that's your fucking first mistake, isn't it? watching my shit.
Well, listen, hey, thanks, man. You've been an amazing guest, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best, my man.
Thank you very much.